It was just earlier this year when SpiceJet was dancing into people's hearts. One after the other, there were a dozen low-fare schemes, and as the number of bookings soared, so did SpiceJet's market share. With the largest occupancy and market share actually coming in September when the problems actually began. Operation problems also gate-crashed the party. SpiceJet since then has been facing fund crunch to run its daily operations as it is running short of working capital. Low discounts almost at every key route also worked against it.
It's still work in progress.
So what happens to flights tomorrow if there is
They're all flying.
The company's revenues doubled to 6,356 crores during 3 years in FY14. However, its accumulated loss in the same period also shot up to 1,588 crores. SpiceJet has also been hit by erratic growth in passenger traffic in the last 3 years, crude prices and also a weaker rupee.
They've said that in case they have to shut down their operation, then the sufferer will be the passengers, and they have requested certain relaxations. We'll discuss it with our officers, we'll discuss with the senior minister, and of course the government also.
SpiceJet promoters have already infused 1,300 crores so far, but now they're not keen to put in any more money. The Chennai-based low-cost carrier reduced its daily flights to 232 from 331 in FY14. It has also scaled down its capacity to 37 aircrafts from 58 last fiscal. The latest problem began when SpiceJet defaulted on employee salary for November, and government-owned Airports Authority of India threatened to put it on a cash and carry model if 200 crore rupees dues were not cleared. Now the once thriving airline has to clear immediate dues amounting to 1,400 crores, and SpiceJet is on the mercy of government to offer it that one lease of life. Because on that depends the fortune and the futures of almost 5,500 employees who are praying with all their hearts. Ruchi Bhatia and Sumit Chaturvedi, ET Now, New Delhi.
So we've got a special guest joining in live on Business Tonight, Ajay Prasad, the former Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, and someone who understands that sector very well, joining in live right here on Business Tonight. Mr. Prasad, thank you so much for joining us live with your perspective right here on ET Now. Your sense, sir, on what's really going on. On one hand, we've seen SpiceJet knocking at the doors of the government, seeking more assistance, reprieve. But what can the government really do other than probably extend the deadline by a little bit, by another week or another 10 days? Beyond that, is there anything at all that the government can do?
I'm afraid not. If you recall, a similar kind of situation had arisen when some time back when Kingfisher Airlines went into trouble, and they also had asked the government for some bailout and help. Now, it is not really possible for the government to start bailing out private entities. After all, these are business decisions taken by people after careful thought, and if they go wrong, then they have to suffer the consequences. Now, the situation in SpiceJet seems to be very precarious at the moment. Their debts have gone up to about 1,500 crores, roughly. And the credit lines by various people, Airports Authority, the caterers, the food suppliers, others, have dried up completely. And with this scaling down of operations which SpiceJet has been doing for last couple of months, they have reduced their flights tremendously in this season. The revenue streams are shrinking. I think it's a very difficult situation for them to come out unless the promoters bring in a large degree of equity infusion into the airline, which again seems to be a little doubtful at the present. But as a result of the meetings today in the DGCA and the Ministry of Civil Aviation, I understand that the government has agreed to extend the airport authorities' credit, etc., for another week or so, which gives them a little breathing time. But I don't think it is going to be a life-saving gesture.
All right, it won't be a life-saving gesture, and there will be eventual grounding of SpiceJet, just like Kingfisher was. But sir, before we let you go very quickly, how much of the blame should lie on the government? One private airline after the other, reeling losses. There is regulatory concern as well, and every operator in this country has voiced those concerns.
You see, there are some structural problems with civil aviation in the country. The high fuel costs have led to a shrinking of the operating margins of all airlines. And all airlines, whether it is the public sector, Air India, or the other private companies, are all finding it very difficult to meet the situation. Secondly, is it's a very competitive market, especially on the trunk routes, etc., where there is an intense amount of competition. There is price cutting, there is discounting, there is various other measures which further shrink their operating profits. Now, unless some of these structural issues are addressed, and the Ministry of Civil Aviation, I know personally, has been trying for last many years to see that the state governments largely agree to reduce the sales tax on fuel. But so far, efforts have met with very little success. Now, from what we hear, if ultimately GST comes, but at the moment petroleum products are being kept out of the purview of GST, that was one hope that the general taxes may come down for aviation turbine fuel also. But that will again, I think, take some more time. So there is no real solution in sight for this. And now we have also the news today that a new venture of Tata SIA has been given approval, so it will further add to the competitiveness in the Indian skies.
But Mr. Prasad, quick final word from you then. You did speak about the lack of possibility of the promoters pumping in more money. Unlikely that any new investor will come in as well. So I guess the end game is nearing. It's just a question of when. But the bigger question is, what impact will this have on the market? You did point out about a new player coming in, which is Vistara, the Tata SIA JV. Broadly, do you think how will the dynamics of the market change on account of another carrier going bust?
See, to answer your first question about the possibilities of another investor coming in to bail out SpiceJet, I consider this possibility as rather remote, because given the present state of financial health of the company, no investor is going to venture at this stage into this unless the whole deal is structured in such a way that you get a throwaway price. Now, as far as the market reaction is concerned, this is not something which is totally unexpected. The market has been observing what has happened earlier to Kingfisher, and they have been observing very carefully the dwindling fortunes of SpiceJet in the last couple of months. So I think the market is more or less braced to accept this development. And the shortages about passenger difficulties and the high prices, that will be offset when a new carrier starts operation, because then the supply of seats will again become of the level of what it was existing when SpiceJet was in operation. So I don't think as far as passenger discomfort is concerned, there will be any long-term consequences.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.